Boo! Get ready to be even more scared than that because in today's video, we're making spooky sculptures. To start this project, I made up a bunch of paper air dry clay, which comes in this like mulched up paper, powdery, dusty, messy form, and you mix it with water. I'd like to use warm water to do it because I feel like it's less cold on my hands. That's about the only reason. I don't think it makes too much of a difference in regards to drying time and stuff like that. It just feels nicer. Now, I wanted to make a nice decoration to put in my house because it's Halloween and I need some more decorations because I don't really have that many like Halloweeny type things. Halloween's not all that big in Australia. It's getting bigger and bigger every year, which I'm pretty excited about. So I'm just doing my part today to get people in the spooky spirit. Ooh. The decoration that I want to make is like a skull, but unfortunately this clay, it isn't the best for sculpting with. I tried making the shape of the skull and the round parts were okay, but I couldn't quite get the shape that I wanted straight away. So I thought it might be easier if I tried to make the skull in two parts and see how I went with that direction. I tried to make the back of the head very round and I just kind of pushed in the front of it to make the eye socket, and then I dusted the top of it with just some of the dry clay and patted it in just to try and get it to dry a bit faster, which seemed to work out for me and I was able to hold the shape better that way. The bottom half of the skull is the jaw, and I tried to give it a little bit of shape for the teeth. I gave it some two pointy teeth just to try and make it look a bit spookier, I guess, but overall it didn't quite look right. I put the top half on the bottom half and it sat there fine, but it kind of was a bit too close for my liking. I put some extra clay at the back of the jaw to make kind of a platform for the top half of the skull to sit on top of, which worked fine, but it kind of doesn't look right. Like the top half looks like a human-ish skull without the nose, and then the bottom half kind of looks like a dog's jaw, if you know what I mean, because of the two big canine teeth that I put on the front of it. So once I was happy with the shape of it, I just set it to dry. I moved on to my next project. I had a bunch of the clay left over just kind of sitting on the table. I thought, that kind of looks like it's already in the shape of a plate or the start of a bowl. I thought maybe I can make like a lolly bowl to put out, and I'll put lollies in there and I'll paint it and it'll look really nice. And then I thought, no, fuck that. I'm gonna go bigger with that because I've already got this small little skull. I don't want just a plate to go with it. I want to do something big and fun and creative. So that's what I did. I did take some inspiration from my little skull project and I decided to start building onto the back of the plate. Again, while I was putting more and more clay on there, I tried to push some dry clay dust on there just to give it some extra strength and help it dry a little bit faster. I kept building up clay around the back of the bowl slash plate thing that I have at the bottom. I kept building up and adding more clay. And then eventually I decided to leave a little gap because at this point I decided that I wanted to make a big skull on top of the plate. I thought that would be a nice place to have the nose hole and the big plate could be the mouth. I decided to move in a different direction later, but at this point this is what I was going for. I got about halfway up around where the jaw is and I tried to leave some big gaps at the front for the eye sockets. I used a lot more clay and eventually I had the right shape that I was going for. It's not quite a human skull, but it's more like an undead sort of creature with some like pointy bone ridges for the eyebrows, and the jaws kind of sticks out in like triangular shapes and just kind of bony in general. I decided that I should take out some of the clay from the nose hole and turn it into the mouth hole. I just thought it would look a bit better just to have the whole face up above the bowl rather than make the plate look like a big giant open mouth. I thought it'd be easier just to have the smaller little mouth on the front of his face. It also worked out that because I left a cavity on the inside of the skull, I could use it as a lantern / candy bowl. So it's a fun decorative piece that I can leave out. I can put candles inside as well to make it even spookier. Ooh. I left both of my projects to dry for about 24 hours just to let the clay set properly and make sure it didn't fall apart. And then it was time to paint. I started by knocking off all the loose parts and the tiny little pieces that didn't quite stick right, just to try and smooth out the outside a bit better. I just knocked a bit off with my hands and then dusted it with a paintbrush as well. And then to stop them from chipping even further and to give it a better painting surface, I gave them a nice thick coat of gesso or gesso or however the fuck you say that, because I still don't know how to say that word. My wife suggested a zombie themed paint job for the big head. I really like the idea, especially because of the texture of it already. It's kind of crumbly and gross, so I thought a nice gross rotting zombie look would suit it very well. So that's what I went for. To begin with, I mixed up a nice candy-ish pink color to go on the inside because I thought it looked nice and gross and kind of like brain color to have on the inside cavity of the skull. And then I just started painting and trying to get the best coverage that I could in there. It's kind of hard to paint in there because of the paintbrushes are so long and you can't quite get in around all the corners properly. But I did my best and I think it came out looking pretty gross and that kind of thing anyway. Then I mixed up a couple different shades of green paint and a bit of a brownie kind of paint. I started going all over him in different areas and painting different patches on him because I thought if I gave him kind of a patchy look, that it kind of looked like he'd been made by someone, or kind of like a Frankenstein where he's been patched together, you know. I let him dry for a little bit and then I gave him a second coat just to really make the colors pop and tried to fill in all the tiny little gaps as well, because it is kind of hard to get in all the tiny little holes because of the texture of the clay. But it worked out okay. To really make the colors pop though, I went and I outlined all of the different patches and areas with black paint and a black line just to give it a bit of separation in between colors. And I used the same brush just to make little stitches going across the borders of the colors just to give it a bit more of a style to it. To finish off the head, I painted the inside of the bowl a light pink color that my wife made up for me, and then I used a darker pink color to make some swirly lines on the inside, kind of to represent brains or something along those lines. I think it was looking pretty spooky after that. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to paint the little skull to begin with. I didn't quite like it at this point and I didn't really know how I was going to do with it, so I just kind of went with the flow. I picked a couple different colors. I went with a lighter sort of green and more of a bright pink color, and then I started painting it. I started going around most of the face and the bottom of the jaw with the light green, but then I left an exposed area on top of the skull. I thought it might look pretty cool if I gave him an exposed skull type look on top of his head, and then I painted that with the pink color. I also painted his eye sockets with the pink color and the inside of his mouth as well, and then I made up a darker pink color to outline where I'd already painted. I grabbed some white paint and I just went over the teeth and exposed them a bit more because it had too much pink on it. I also gave him some highlights around his eyes just to try and give it a bit more of a cute look. Then I grabbed some black paint, I gave him some pupils, and then I decided that I should paint the inside of his mouth black instead of pink because I like the way that looked a bit better. I finished up by giving him some nose holes, and then I just touched up the green paint with a second coat as well. And that was the end of that. Anyway, before I scare you with my spooky sculptures, go ahead and hit that like button for good luck And don't forget to subscribe if you're new around here, or you'll be haunted by the ghost of Leaf Ears here. Ooh. Also, tell me what you're dressing up as for Halloween this year. I like to see everyone's costumes and stuff. You can tell me about that in the comments down below, or send me some pictures on Twitter because I'm always on there. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Here's my spooky sculptures. Boo!